This is very important, this is a three-headed bull. Before the first one is in Sumeria, but we have these things in Indus Valley. This is about 5,000 years where three-headed bull is a representation of the same process of the Ida, Pingala and the Sushumna. The balance between Ida and Pingala shifts very rapidly. Because it's shifting rapidly within yourself, it's very easy to bring it to a balance at these times. In the Middle Eastern culture, particularly the Christian mysticism, they show people carrying a snake-like stick. Because they couldn't get cobras in Middle East. If you see a yogi with a cobra, not me. There are other kinds who are freaky, who'll have a cobra and who'll have green-colored glass bangles on their left hand. If you see them, if you look at his nostril, you will see he has beeswax sealing off his right nostril. If you see that he doesn't have a beeswax, that means he is past his 12.25 year solar cycle and he is you can see a manifestation of the linga forms and the crescent moon and snakes. This is very important, this is a three-headed bull. Before the first one is in Sumeria, but we have these things in Indus Valley. Whoever fixes these dates, on what basis, I do not know. We will go by that. And this is about 5,000 years where three-headed bull is a representation of the same process of the Ida, Pingala and the Sushumna, represented as a bull, later on evolved, or parallelly it also evolved into three-headed snakes or three snakes.
You mentioned that Ida and Pingala. Is it really possible to imagine those or they're just psychological nadis?
You don't have to imagine those, they are there. Yes, very much. They are not a physical existence. If you cut this body and see where are the nadis, you won't find them. They don't have an existence like that. But if you become more and more aware of the way the energy is moving, you will see it is moving in a defined pattern, it is not moving episodically. So there are 72,000 different ways in which it is moving. All these 72,000 are springing from these two main nadis, Ida and Pingala. It's distinctly experienceable. Yes?
In the yogic way of looking at things, there is no such thing as body and mind. There is physical body, there is mental body, there's energy body. The energy body comprises of 72,000 nadis. When we say a nadi, it means a channel or a pathway. Nadi does not mean a nerve. If you cut open this body, you will not see the nadis, there is no such thing physically. But experientially, if you observe the nature of the movement of energy in the system, you will see that it always moves along established pathways, never randomly. So there are 72,000 ways in which it moves. 36 on the right, 36 on the left, 36,000 on either side. The right is called as Pingala, the left is referred to as Ida. These are also referred to as sun and moon. So, these two, Ida and Pingala, or the sun and the moon, the right and the left, on the level of your mind, signify the logical and the intuitive. When I say intuitive, intuition is not another dimension of perception, but just another dimension of computing. If you have the same amount of information within you, If you go logically, there may be 10 steps to get to a place. Intuition means you don't take the 10 steps, you just jump to the 10th step. But today modern education systems, 100% stomping on the intuitive dimension, only the logical is developed. Anything intuitive is dismissed off as mumbo-jumbo. For everything, you have to think through. What your grandmothers just knew, today you have to do $1 billion research to find the same thing. When you have to think through everything, and everything seems to have multiple steps, now life becomes stressful. If one wants to be successful beyond a certain point, there are some things where you should be able to jump the steps and arrive at it. Still the same information, still the same stuff. It is just that you don't have to walk through that many steps every time. This makes life very stressful because it is like you're driving your car on two wheels. The other two wheels unused and safe. I don't know for when to be used, but the two wheels that you're using will feel enormous amount of stress. So, in the yogic system, the significance of the intuition is as important as the logical. Intuition is just a different dimension of computing. Same information, logically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps, intuition, talk 1 step. That's all it is. So how to develop intuition? There are various methods. The Shambhavi Mahamudra that you do definitely enhances one's intuition, but don't try to consciously enhance that because you will go about doing guesswork. Guesswork is not intuition. Intuition means you just know, clearly know, that you can bank your life on it. Guesswork will lead you to lot of confusion. Oh, I have a gut feeling. There are some people, always their gut is saying something because of bad food, I think. So, there are specific methods to develop intuitiveness. There are certain systems of yoga which are totally left-oriented. Here, the yoga that you learn with me in a program like this, we want to bring a balance between the right and left because you want to live a normal life. There are certain systems of yoga where they're not interested in what you call as normal life. Their only orientation is to develop intuition and see life in a certain way. What they do is they take beeswax and close off the right nostril. 12 years, one solar cycle, 12.25 years, they block off the right nostril and you will see the logical mind will almost die. You will have no thought process, but you just simply know things like a cobra. So bringing a balance between Ida and Pingala is a very important part of living a balanced life. Being able to conduct yourself through complex situations with ease comes only when the intuitive dimension of your mind is sufficiently evolved and developed. Otherwise, small things will freak you because for everything there are multiple steps. Here we'll be doing a few things to bring a balance between Ida and Pingala, to give you an experiential understanding of this. If you take your forefinger, place it beneath your nostrils and gently exhale. Find out in which nostril the breath is dominant right now. How many of you right? Left? Okay, it's either right or left. Only 2 barrels, you know. If there were 25, how complex it would have been If you observe yourself through the day, you would have noticed that approximately between 40 to 48 minutes, the dominance of the breath will shift from right to left and left to right. Have you ever noticed this? Have you? Why this is happening is, within the system, the dominance of energy, or prana, which is the vital force in the system, is shifting from Pingala to Ida and Ida to Pingala every 40 minutes. Once the energy shifts, within the next 8 minutes, the breath will shift. If you're in a perfect state of health and well-being, it will shift within a few moments, or we can say instantaneously. This shifting is happening every 40 minutes. But during certain times of the day, which are referred to as the Sandhya Kalas, which means the twilight zones, 20 minutes before sunrise, 20 minutes after sunrise. Oh, that's okay, Sadhguru, tell me if there are other times. 20 minutes before noon, 20 minutes after noon. 20 minutes before sunset, 20 minutes after sunset, 20 minutes before midnight and 20 minutes after midnight. 40 minutes at a time, 4 times during the day. There is a certain transition happening. These are called twilight zones or sandhyas, because at this time, the balance between Ida and Pingala shifts very rapidly. Because it's shifting rapidly within yourself, it's very easy to bring it to a balance at these times. To an extent, almost everywhere in the world, any spiritual process or practice means morning, evening. Sandhya has become synonymous with spiritual practice. The time has become synonymous with many practices. So, bringing a balance between Ida and Pingala is important for a balanced development of a human being.
You feel truly comfortable only when you're in balance, in some way. When there's any kind of imbalance, there's a discomfort, isn't it? Yes? When you're experiencing any kind of imbalance, there is discomfort. Only when you attain to a certain balance, you feel really comfortable. So comfort is never really determined by what you're sitting on or where you are. Comfort is determined by how balanced you are within yourself. This basic comfort that every human being must have, unfortunately, has been denied to too many people. Just to sit with total ease in one place is not there in most people right now, isn't it? Simply sitting in ease, complete ease, it is not there. So, when there is no ease, it's a disease. Whether you're medically diagnosed or not, it is a dis-ease. If the dis-ease continues over a period of time, it will manifest itself in the body as a malfunction, which gets labeled as some kind of disease, like incredible names they're coming out with. for every kind of problem. The fundamental reason why the system doesn't last its span, it's designed to last its span, but it is not lasting its span because we're keeping it in various levels of imbalance. You drive your car on just two wheels all the time, something will break down. So, similarly, the whole system is not being properly kept. There is not enough balance in the system. Only when you're in balance, there is comfort, otherwise there is no comfort. One will not know comfort unless he knows some sense of balance within himself. Only when you're in balance, you can be still. And man is ill. Human beings are ill only because they do not know how to be still. Stillness will not come unless there is proper balance. Only when you're totally balanced, you can be still within yourself, otherwise that will not happen.
There are wonderful stories going back in many ways. For those of you who are familiar, or if you happen to attend the Leela program about the way Krishna represented yoga, there's a beautiful story about Krishna taming the bull. There is a whole lot of stories going back into history where this was… today it is being labeled as bull jumping, where people conquering the bull was not only a macho manifestation in a society, but it was also considered as a spiritual pursuit, that if you conquer the bull within you, that means you conquer your animal nature, that is when you are delivered. So these two things are very much there in Krishna's life of he taming a bull and then dancing upon the hood of a snake. So these two things are a symbolic representation of how he tamed the animal nature within himself and arrived at a place where he's on top of a snake's hood, representing that he's reached. The snake has risen within him, so the man has risen. That is what these two stories are trying to say.
Especially a cobra. It is so perceptive. The reason why you see a cobra next to Shiva is because every yogi carried a snake at one time. Just yesterday somebody was reminding me that in the Middle Eastern culture, particularly the Christian mysticism, they show people carrying a snake-like stick because they couldn't get cobras in Middle East. They created a stick, or they found a natural stick which looks like a cobra, and they tried to use it. You see Moses carrying a snake-like stick, and in many other places. But in India, yogis always carried a live cobra. Because its perception is phenomenal. A cobra which is here in Chamundi Hill, if there is going to be an earthquake in California, not happening, it is going to be, nothing has started, no Richter scale is saying anything, but this cobra will already start behaving in a different way. If you are keen enough, you will immediately know what's going to happen. He's so perceptive. The earth's intentions, he knows. Not the happenings, intentions, he already knows. That's the reason why you see Shiva is carrying cobra here, a reptile, a crawly creature, he should have kept it down at least. He carries it here because Shiva is making a statement, you are as good as me. He has 3 eyes, everything possible he's seeing, but he is telling, the cobra is as good as me. If you worship me, you have to worship him because he's as good as me, he sees as much as I see. So that's why the cobra became very significant. If you see a yogi with a cobra, not me. There are other kinds who are freaky. Who'll have a cobra and who'll have green-colored glass bangles on their left hand. If you see them, if you look at his nostril, you will see he has beeswax sealing off his right nostril. If you see that he doesn't have a beeswax, that means he is past his 12.25 year solar cycle and he is worth being with. There are things about him that you cannot imagine. So, you cannot go that way. What you can do is, the simple practice of Shambhavi definitely opens up that dimension. But before you go into intuition, it's very important the logical dimension of your life is properly established. Otherwise, every fool who can't think straight will think he's intuitive. Yes, first establish the logical dimension of your life perfectly clear, then explore intuitiveness, it'll be fabulous. But without establishing logic, you try to walk into intuitiveness, you'll just go into a world of confusion.